Hello, everyone, and welcome to Microsoft Ignite. This is our SharePoint Power Hour live from our Rackspace booth today. The gist of what is Power Hour? Power Hour is a show that I'm standing in front of you, is a show that our SharePoint team at Rackspace does every Wednesday at 11 Central. The topics of Power Hour are things basically anything that's not custom dev or super hardcore server admin. We cover just all the other topics in SharePoint and Office 365, things that you can do out of the box with no code. We talk about search, we talk about social, we talk about BI, just all those other components. So today is a special episode. We're all here together in person, which is a first, I think. Except for poor Travis is not here. Maybe he's watching. I wish he was here. Maybe. But so today's episode, we're not going to have a specific technology or demonstration to talk about. We're really just going to talk about this conference and things that we're learning, new things, SharePoint 2016, what's going on around here, and just everyone's take on what you've been seeing so far at the conference. It's day 3 of Microsoft Ignite here in Chicago. And so some of us have been to some sessions, so we'd like to talk about what's going on. Before we start talking about just the sessions and things, we'll go around and introduce ourselves. But we also have a big announcement. Rackspace has just announced that we have an Office 365 offering. So we have an offering where basically you can go purchase Office 365 through us, and you get the Rackspace fanatical support around that. So this is a huge, big announcement that just came out yesterday. Press release. It's kind of a big deal. So just want to be sure and let everybody know about that. I'm Laura Rogers, Microsoft MVP, 10, 12 years of experience in SharePoint, blah, 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 all that stuff. And we'll go around and get everybody to introduce yourselves. And then we'll just talk about what's going on. Since you're right here, Joel.
Also, if you're watching, let us know if you can hear us. We want to make sure that you can actually hear us. Oh yeah, and then basically, if you're watching online, you can click. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click the Q&A button. It will take you over to Google Plus, and you can ask us questions, and we can see them right here. So you can go ahead and put those in, and we'll be happy to answer those. And then also, like I said, let us know if you can't hear us, so that because we're kind of setting up a MacGyver audio-visual setup over here.
We're not audio-visual.
Yeah, no, not at all, but we've made it work. So I am Joelle Farley. I am on the Business Solutions team at Rackspace. I have been a SharePoint consultant for a couple of years, worked with SharePoint since SharePoint 2007 came out, and I am very excited to be here in Chicago with my awesome team. We're happy to bring you some cool information today. So,
Hello, I'm Stephen Wilson. I work with the Rackspace Business Solutions team. I normally do a lot of installations, migrations, picking up a lot of things here at Ignite. It's an exhausting place though. So if any of you are like sitting in a breakout room somewhere watching this on your laptop, stop it. Come back to the display area, go to the Rackspace booth, and we're behind it. We've got a big Airstream, so we're easy to find. And you can sit next to us and watch us while we talk to a television screen.
So I'm Tanya Kaiser, also part of the Business Solutions team. I'm actually the SharePoint admin for our internal farm at Rackspace, so my customers happen to be my other Rackers, and I handle everything from governance, legacy migrations, building solutions for Rackers, all of the same things that my teammates do. Very, very happy to be here in Chicago and find out some of the new things that are coming to SharePoint 2016.
yeah.
Well, apparently at least one Racker hears us loud and clear out there. Thank you very much for the feedback. This is Kevin Hughes, SharePoint architect here on Laura's team. I'm normally in Kansas City, but decided to go a little bit north this week. And here in nice windy Chicago, where it's rained most every day. And but we still have seen some wonderful features in the city when we've not been stuck inside this huge, massive complex here at McCormick Place. You just can't imagine how large the conference center is here until you've walked for a half hour and still have not gotten to the other side. So there's a ton of stuff going on here. There's no way our team can actually see everything or or experience all the sessions and the breakout sessions. But we have gone to all the 2016, SharePoint 2016 so far, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that throughout the hour. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan now.
Hi, everybody. I live in Colorado, but I'm also joined here in Chicago. So I'm a branding architect. I do SharePoint branding here and there, make SharePoint less SharePoint stuff. Not much else to say that hasn't been said. It's a huge place. It's an awesome company so far. And I guess I'll just hand it back over to Laura.
All right, so the session that I went to Monday, it was the first SharePoint session. It was for IT pros. It was Bill Bear and Seth Batten talking about the evolution of SharePoint, and it was very crowded. There was a long line to get in. You had to get a seat ahead of time, etc. So everyone wants to hear what's going on with SharePoint 2016. It was a very high level overview. It was very just a lot of sort of graphics showing just sort of different versions of SharePoint over the years, showing just sort of just concepts and things that have how it's evolved over time. It wasn't a super technical session, but they teased us a little bit. They had a little bit about sort of the new configuration manager when they're setting up a server and how there's several different roles to pick from now, where they're really encouraging you to have a farm with multiple servers with multiple roles, which they're doing it because it's patching easier. And I'll let a couple of these guys go more in depth. But that was just, they really just mentioned it. They didn't go super duper into. So Bill Bear encouraged us all to go to his Monday. He encouraged everyone to go to his Wednesday morning session, which would be an actual technical session, deep dive, and that you actually get to see SharePoint 2016. The good thing also is that here during the conference in the hands-on labs, there is SharePoint 2016 for people to go try out and play with in the lab as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Stephen to talk a little bit about what sessions you've been to.
I actually haven't spent a whole lot of time in the sessions. I've spent so much time talking to all the different vendors.
You've been to all the parties.
I've been invited to a few, but I didn't get to any of those. They did get a motorcycle over yesterday, though. A lot of the value that I found here is just talking with the other vendors and doing some of the hands-on labs. Like Laura mentioned, they've got hands-on labs for Windows 10, Office 2016, SharePoint 2016. For anybody who tuned in for information about SharePoint 2016, it's really not anything that you can get too excited about yet, because a lot of the information is preliminary. You don't even really know what it's going to look like. We do know that there are some architectural changes that are probably not going to make it necessarily easier to install, but they're hoping it'll be easier for you to patch, easier for you to keep it up over the long term with higher reliability. You won't have to have downtime during patching and things like that. So they've done a lot of work on the architecture of it. Anyone who is running on-premise SharePoint, that's still going to be an option, so they haven't taken that off the table. And I know, talking to a lot of people here at the conference, they were concerned about the fact that Microsoft had pushed SharePoint back. But I'm really taking that as a good sign, that they're working on it to make sure they get it right before they release it, rather than there was a lot of pressure for them to come out with it at the same time that they were coming out with everything else. But I think they made a decision to do it in a way that it was going to be prepared for the public to use, instead of just putting it out because it ran along with the cycle of everything else. So I'm going to pass to Tanya, because she's closest to the microphone right now, and she can tell us all the things that she's picked up here.
Very much the same thing as Stephen. I really enjoyed kind of walking around the floor and seeing all the different vendors here. Of course, it is a Microsoft conference, so there's wide areas where it's only Microsoft. Right behind us, there's a big Microsoft Cloud platform. They've got areas where you can do the hands-on labs, both at your own pace and instructor-led. And they've got a whole office for area for Office 365, which they kind of included SharePoint in that as well. So it's really neat to see Microsoft kind of push out their brand and how big and massive it is. very much like Laura said, I wanted to attend the SharePoint 2016 ones. The roadmap one was actually full. They had people blocking the doors, and their overflow room was even full as well. So, but if you kept an eye on the tweets, you could get a lot of the information that was coming out of there. So some of the announcements, Dell is actually coming to SharePoint 2013 pretty soon. So that's kind of exciting. It's only been on Office 365 and kind of pre-release stuff. So I'm curious to see what that looks like on 2013. They did put out a preview for SharePoint 2016, so hopefully we'll be able to look and see what it really looks like if you haven't seen that, and I think everybody wants to know what it actually is going to look like. But same as Steven, I was really hoping to see more previews, but I agree, I think they're really getting some good feedback from people and trying to make sure they get all of those things incorporated. So we may have to wait a little bit, but hopefully we're going to get something that's really, really a good product.
Oh, what is Delve? Delve is really a search experience. It's sort of similar to the concept of looking at a set of search results, except it's search results without necessarily having to do a search. It's showing relevant, just a list, not really a list, but a bunch of squares of content that's relevant to you and what you do in your job. It's getting a lot of that information from the search database, from Active Directory. It knows sort of who you communicate with, who you're on a team with, who you work with, and it takes all that information about you and presents to you, the user, just this sort of dashboard of content that might be interesting to you. So, delves into your life, yes. Yeah. So, but another thing, just having to do a search that they did show in that 2016 session that I was in, was the fact that now you'll be able to do a search and it will show a list of all the content in one result page that's on Office 365 and on premises, so that those end users don't have two different experiences. And I know that's been a big sort of concern for people. So it's going to be one place. It's going to be sort of one search database that has all the relevancy and everything in one place. So that was sort of huge.
Well, that's not the only thing they're integrating. We found out in the technical preview this morning that not only is the search going to be integrated with the on-prem and the hybrid environment for online, but also user profiles are going to be integrated, so there'll be one unified profile, and the user profile service is going to be updated and simplified so that it's no longer going to cause bulky Rackspace. Honestly, the way they described a lot of the things going on, the hybrid experience is going to be a lot more easily achieved. There's going to be a lot more integration between the on-prem and cloud SharePoint. There's a lot of opportunity there to no longer have to have separate environments and separate Active Directories and separate data sources. It's going to be a lot more integrated. It's going to be a lot better for those that want to have extranets and intranets and so forth. It should be pretty cool. As Steven said, the actual look and feel is right now, as they showed us, still pretty much 2013. But that's okay, because the 2013 is the basis for 2016. We found out that architecture isn't going to be changing so much that your 2013 work will not upgrade directly to 2016. But if you're on 2010, the upgrade path is to 2013 first, then to 2016. They'll not be making a direct from 2010 to 2016 upgrade path. So keep that in mind, and we can help you do that, of course. Should we shout out to Carlos? Come on over here, Carlos. Carlos. Carlos is one of our most prolific question askers, and he's visiting us here at Ignite, so I want to get him in here so everybody can see what he looks like.
Have you seen anything cool, Carlos, since you've been here?
Yeah, I've seen quite a bit. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So when you combine both the server side development just overall. We're getting a lot of good information, reinforcing a lot of the practices that have put into place. So, yeah, it's very good.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
We're glad to
finally get to meet some of the people that you interacted with over there.
Yeah.
I'm finding it cool. So let's see. Let me
And I'm sick. Thanks, Ryan. Just kidding. I haven't been able to go to too many sessions so far, but I did hear that it sounds like in 2016 content databases are going to be able to size up into terabytes. Is that true? I saw that.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Up to
Yeah.
10 terabytes.
10 terabytes, they're saying, basically, for 2016 content databases. And also
They're getting rid of the 5,000 threshold list.
getting rid of the 5,000 threshold limit. That's another kind of big one. Upload a 10 gig file. So there's a lot of kind of, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit stronger of a system where you can kind of take some of that stuff. So that's kind of cool. And then besides that, we have seen some neat features with Office 365 and Sway. So Sway is kind of a neat presentation technology. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of it, but it's kind of a neat presentation technology that has been available for a while, and now it's going to be fully integrated with Office 365. So check that out because it's kind of interesting. And besides that, I've just been enjoying, walking around the Expo, and also we have this awesome. We actually have a full-size Airstream trailer. So if you are at the conference and just watching this online, feel free to come out and check out our booth. It's kind of cool.
Did they fix it?
Yeah, it looks like it is. We had a technical difficulty with it yesterday, but it looks like it's repaired now.
If they're here, can they come by and get book signing later?
We have book signings. We haven't changed about those.
Yeah, there's book signings as well. We have some cool swag. Yeah.
That's the last one.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can meet your SharePoint groups.
So again, it's a Microsoft conference. One of the other cool things that we saw, they demoed this a lot in the keynote on Monday, is the Windows 10 experience. It's all built on the same platform, so whether you're viewing it on your laptop or your mobile phone or your tablet, you should have a consistent user experience across all of those. They really, really stress that, the way things done are nowadays is you have to build different code for each of those platforms, and that's going to change with Windows 10. So any user, whether they're a Mac user, a PC user, iPhone, Android, it should really be the same experience. And if you haven't heard by now, Windows 10 is going to be a free upgrade for all users. So I had set out some tweets about that a few weeks ago, but they really, really stress that this is a platform for everybody, and they've been working really, really hard to make that uniform user experience, which I think matters a lot in applications. You want to be able to jump from one to the other. Me personally, I use OneNote like crazy, and I go from my iPhone to my Android tablet to my Dell laptop, and I love that it syncs across. So hearing that come from Windows 10 has actually gotten me really excited to try out Windows 10 on one of my devices. The keynote was really, really interesting to me. So that was, the first day on Monday. We had Satya in there, and again, they were just demoing a lot of the stuff coming. Of course, heavy emphasis on Office 365 at this conference, but like Steven said, they've really taken great pains to emphasize that on-prem is not going anywhere, and they're going to be supporting it because there's a lot of customers out there that really, really still have that business need to have things on-prem. There is going to be a lot more interaction though with hybrid, so you can have certain things on Office 365 and still keep your on-prem. And I'm really excited to see that and see how that kind of happens and comes together.
Another big thing that they mentioned in the keynote was this emphasis on security, because when companies go to the cloud, one of the huge concerns they have about not going to the cloud is worrying about their data being, out on the internet, available to Microsoft. They're worried about people at Microsoft being able to get to their data, and just a lot of concerns around them, especially government and this sort of thing. So they had a big emphasis in the keynote about security, and how they did a demo. This is the first time they mentioned SharePoint. I was very excited. They did a demo of OneDrive and the files syncing down, and they showed that they were encrypted, and so that was kind of a big deal.
And then they also talked about data loss prevention. They talked about what's it called, information rights management. So right now there is information rights management in there, so they're going to make huge improvements in that. And they also have a huge new security dashboard. So before I was at SharePoint, I might not know this, I was in security, I was doing antivirus stuff. So that's kind of something that's very familiar to me, is needing to be able to see so what's going on in your environment. Now, right now, of course, security guys have the ability to go look at logs. They can look at firewall logs. They can look at Windows logs. And all the logs are technically there, but what they're showing now is a dashboard that just gives you like this full picture of everything going on in your enterprise, and give red flags and things like that about different kinds of activity that might be suspicious. So that was pretty exciting. Anything else today? We don't have to go through 4 hours. Did you see anything about branding, Ryan?
Not a ton about branding yet. Right now, 2016 looks pretty much indistinguishable from 2013, so I guess that could make my job easy. so yeah, we'll see what happens. They didn't say in this session this morning that the build that they were showing was about 8 days old. It was an absolutely new UI feature. So, yeah, that's anxious. So we'll have to see what kind of fanciness they come out with for 2016 and what that means for the branders. So I just want to stay tuned for that.
Oh, channel 9, what about it?
A lot of the sessions here at Ignite are being recorded. So if you didn't get the opportunity to attend, you can go out to the Microsoft Channel 9, and they have recordings all over the place. If you watch, excuse me, I've been yelling a lot this week. If you watch the keynote, we all talked about the keynote. There was a lot of information in it. I thought they were actually kind of low-key about it, though. They've got a huge amount of stuff that they're doing, and I think a lot of the stuff that they're doing is they're delivering on ideas that people have had for a long time. Like Tanya mentioned, unifying the experience between your phone and your laptop and your tablet. In some of the demos, they were showing people using the phones as desktops, and it was pretty much indistinguishable once it connected up to a large screen. It looked like they were just using Windows. And so I've been waiting for something like that for about 10 years now. And it's been possible for about 5, and just nobody's ever really delivered on it. But I think Microsoft's on the edge of delivering on a lot of ideas that everybody has had, but nobody's been able to implement yet. So there's a lot of stuff in the Channel 9 presentations that even if you didn't get to go to Ignite, you can explore it on the internet.
For Windows 10, another thing that was pretty cool is that I noticed that apps, like right now, if you if you open apps in Windows 8, you'll see that they take up your whole screen, like almost like going into like a video game or something. And you can't really, it's kind of hard or tricky to get back to your desktop. But it looks like now with Windows 10, apps will open in like the regular kind of windows that we're used to. Yeah, like a regular window, so you can minimize them and use them. So I thought that was pretty cool, because I think right now those apps aren't getting a lot of use, because people think they're a pain in the butt to kind of get in and get out of. So that'll be kind of cool to see how that works too.
Just a little bit about OneDrive. Tom and I taught an all-day, 3-day, on Sunday about OneDrive for Business. And every time, it's so funny, every time we tell people that, they look at us and say, a whole day on OneDrive? What in the world did you talk about for a whole day? So we did. We managed to fill it up. This was something that Microsoft came to us and presented to us as something that they'd be interested in. So that's what I was talking about. I had never presented the talk before. And so we've been working our butts off, and I've been neglecting everyone at work. But what we talked about was, not the new stuff. So it was just how to set up basically the premise was set up your on-premises environment to have some hybrid, and you're basically connecting just the OneDrive to the OneDrive on the cloud. And so we talked about the authentication part. We talked about what you do in Central Admin. We went over some PowerShell stuff. And then we actually talked about, so I used to be an IT pro, so from an IT pro standpoint, I like to be able to deploy things to all the clients and have things available to all the end users, and them not have to think too much or have to know or have too much training just to be able to use it. So
how we talked about deploying Office Pro Plus. We talked about managing from the central admin point of view, things like that. And how actually, while I was testing this, I discovered that there's a content class for all the content in your OneDrive. So you can do a search and just get a result of all the stuff in OneDrive. So I went to the Discovery Center, created a Discovery Center template, and just ended up spitting out a report of everybody's OneDrive things. So that's kind of nice. And you guys can do that now. But they did announce, so it was so funny because in this session, well, a lot of the questions, if you knew this was going to happen, a lot of the questions we had were, how do you, the client is a piece of crap, how do you troubleshoot it? It's got all these bugs, it's problematic, please help us fix it. And really the answer to that is they're creating a new one. And they announced that in the keynote that they're creating a new OneDrive for Business client. They're just revamping it so you don't have all these sort of, you have this residual through stuff and the SkyDrive stuff and the one like all in the registry, it's called all these different things. So they're improving that, and they've heard that loud and clear. And then just another thing real quick for me is my Friday session. Lori Gowan and I are going to be presenting driving user adoption from a technical standpoint at 9 a.m. Friday. And she's not here right now. Todd Clint's actually in the session right now. I think she's over in the session. But it's going to be basically, like I was saying, from an IT pro standpoint, all the things that you can do to help it not be so painful for your users to use SharePoint. Things like, going into group policy, making it so that they don't have to authenticate over and over. All those little authentication prompts that they yell about. We don't want the end users to hate SharePoint. Managing site promoted links to Office applications, all these things that you can do to put SharePoint in front of them. So like when they open the Word client and things like that, SharePoint is just very obvious. And the locations that are pertinent to them are very obvious. And so it's going to be a huge, very, very packed session because we have a ton of content to talk about. We could probably do more of a full day session on that stuff because there's just so much. And they've been adding stuff like the data loss prevention, all that's just been kind of thrown in last minute as well. So that'll be a good one. We're going to be in that big grand ballroom. That's 100. So, and then 1,300 people signed up for that class.
So one thing that you may not have picked up on as we've kind of given things that we've done, it seems like Microsoft is really, really listening to all of the feedback that they're getting from users. So from the Windows 10, uniform experience across all platforms, to incorporating things that are very familiar to Windows 7 users, like Joelle said, that having your little start button and seeing your list of programs, they've really taken that feedback. And then to like what Laura said, and a lot of the announcements that we made this morning about, increasing the listing threshold and having larger file sizes, they also talked about SAML authentication. So even though these are separate topics, it is all Windows, it is all Microsoft, and it seems like they're really, really taking to heart a lot of the feedback from users and IT pros and making sure that these next generation of products are all going to work really, really well together. So like with Windows 10 and SharePoint 2016, and in my former life, I did a lot of Office training and converted law firms from WordPerfect to Office, and then had to, take away the fear with the ribbon. They did announce that Office 2016 is going to be coming out soon, so I'm really excited about that too. So a lot of it is, previews and very high level and overviews, but I think Microsoft is just kind of telling us, keep an eye out over the next year of all these different products that are coming out. So I'm excited to see when I get to actually dive into them and like look at all the, the granular things that I know users have trouble with. So I'm excited to see those.
All right, enough of this technical stuff. Let's talk about this conference. I know at least some of you out there are interested in, the conference itself. If you didn't know, Ignite is Microsoft's attempt to consolidate all the different product platform conferences they've been having over the last few years. So SharePoint and developers, Exchange, and so forth. So with each one of those, it's been costing Microsoft a ton of money. And a lot of people have been hard-pressed to travel to multiple conferences. So Ignite is their attempt to get all of those platforms under one roof, which is why it is so big and why, we're having such difficulty really talking about everything there is going on here. It's not just a bunch of vendors around here giving away motorcycles and flash drives and that kind of thing, but they do that. There's a Harley being given away, not 4 booths away from us, but then there's also the regular, vendors just trying to get out the word about what they're doing in conjunction with these new products. So they're trying to educate us as we go by, and we're trying to educate them on our new offerings, and we're just inundating each other with all kinds of information. But Microsoft's really got a huge presence here. Been to quite a few of these conferences before, and I think Microsoft's presence on the expo floor is bigger than it has been in previous conferences. They're really concentrating on making sure that all the products are represented, all the platforms are well represented, whether it's Azure and Office 365 offerings, or if it's the on-premise, whether it's Office, Word, Excel, and so forth, or SharePoint, or any of the other platforms they've got, SQL Server. They're all very well represented. Tons of experts here to answer our questions about the new products and demos of everything they've got going, whether and including Xbox. I mean, you can play Xbox games here if you want, but personally, I found it very beneficial not just to go to the conferences, but the hands-on labs that are here, and to ask these experts that are building the products. They're not just salespeople; these are the people that are building the products that we're helping deliver to you, and they're able to answer our questions and spend time with us to try to help us do our jobs to help you guys. So that's really Ignite is I think one of the best conferences Microsoft's ever put on.
Something that Kevin said reminded me yesterday. I was standing out in front of our booth, and a couple of guys from Microsoft stopped by and said, yeah, we're from the PowerShell development team, and we found some code from Rackspace's teams on GitHub, and we think you guys are doing some neat stuff, and we'd like to help. And so they were asking for email addresses of some of the people who developed those pieces, just so that they could get in touch with them and help out with their project, because they were interested in what they were doing. We had to come to them. They had found it themselves on the internet and were coming to us. And that's the kind of thing we're seeing with Microsoft right now. They're coming to the customers. They're showing up at the booths, asking questions, and they're taking a lot of those comments very seriously on developing the new generation of all of these products.
There's a site called User Voice where Microsoft has set up different with OneDrive, User Voice, Forums, User Voice. There's probably a Windows. It's basically User Voice is a site where you just start. It's sort of like a forum. You just start a topic about things that you want to see in that product, and just anybody can go give feedback directly to Microsoft on those User Voice sites to about whatever product it is that you're to tell us about. So yeah, they've been very transparent. So it doesn't seem like anymore that it's just sort of little set of programmers hiding away somewhere that you don't know, and they don't know what's going on in the outside world. It's not like that at all. If it felt like that before, it's if they're coming out, they're asking us, they want to know what we think. So if you have any strong opinions about SharePoint, OneDrive, any of these products that you're seeing, those are places where you can directly tell Microsoft what you think. And of course, give feedback on the conference while you're at the conference.
Hello. So I'm glad that I arrived to the same conclusion as you. I think it's clear on the space that we're jumping in a long session, that we can have the same conclusion. The labs is very important, and I think the Microsoft people is not just to sell you things, they're just showing. If you like it, you will buy it. So maybe you already own it, and not just
This is my first conference. I spent 14 years in the business unit and 1 year. My first conference. Been in the business unit for 14 years and 1 year in IT because it was kind of keep your enemies close kind of thing. So I'm pretty impressed just in the way they handle any user interfaces. My question is user choice. I've heard some presenters say, well, I just said Yammer. Is that Yammer or is that, we just started with Yammer too? So.
User Voice is it's a third-party website that's just centered around getting software feedback. So it's not necessarily a Microsoft site. I'm not sure, but it might be uservoice.com or something. But it's like forums.uservoice.com, OneDrive.uservoice.com.
This is kind of going back to like the overall atmosphere of the conference. I mean, to give you an idea, we've all said like this place is massive, it's huge. You can walk for half an hour, not walk the whole conference floor. Just to give you an indication, in the keynote, they mentioned that last week their attendee count was 20,000. And as of the keynote, they had about 23,000 people. So, adding on to that, I mean, Chicago is a big city. They've taken up this whole conference space. They also had, for attendees, 60 conference hotels and 13 shuttle routes, to and from the conference, just to give you, the idea of the overall size of it, since this is the one conference for Microsoft. So I know Tavis hasn't been able, Tavis isn't here, so he's not able to pick up some of the BI stuff that is in the hands-on lab, so that's kind of neat. And then even Ryan, he's missing out on a lot of UI stuff, but overall, it's really great to see the way Microsoft kind of brands it. Everything's pretty consistent. Even the presenters all have the same, PowerPoint deck or maybe Sway. So it's really nice to see like Microsoft really put their brand and their image out there just to take it into places. I mean, I've come across a few products that I wasn't aware Microsoft did, and talking to people, they're like, oh yeah, have you tried this out? So it's really neat just to see the overall product image.
All right, well, I know it's usually a full hour or hour, but we really just want to sort of give a recap and not try to do live demos with all the strange audio settings that we have here. But just to kind of reiterate, we have just Rackspace in general. Our booth, SharePoint is just a small part of Rackspace. Rackspace is the world's largest hosting provider. So people who come to our booth, they're not just going to talk about SharePoint. They're going to talk about having your servers managed, servers in the cloud, moving to the cloud, and then of course again the big Office 365 offering that we announced yesterday is pretty huge. And I tweeted about it. Multiple ones of us have tweeted about it. People who have Office 365 and think the support model is kind of sketchy and it takes a while to get what you need and for people to help you. We offer consulting around that. Yes. Chris Carbajal is going to talk a little bit more about that offering.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. So, as most of you know, we did release the Office 365 offering of Rackspace, and it really consists of two different things. So we are now able to sell licensing for the actual platform, and then in addition to that, we are also able to offer fully managed services on top of it. So if you are already an Office 365 customer, then you can keep those licenses, and then you can look at our managed service as an option to basically provide advisory services, migration services, as well as any other type of support or Q&A with our team of experts. And then if you are not an Office 365 customer, you can actually purchase those licenses and include the additional managed service on top of that. So it is in preview right now. We are looking to get customers in and involved as soon as possible. We do have a 14-day free trial of the actual managed service offering. And then with that, we will be pushing out some additional promotions next week for that product. So if you have any other additional questions, please feel free to go to our website. We do have some information on Rackspace.com, and then we will be pushing information out on an Office 365 webpage.
Thanks, Chris. And there's also o365.rackspace.com where you can go do that. All right. I know we're not usually very salesy on our hour, and so I thought I'd throw things in like that.
It's their trend.
Yeah, it is Rackspace training. All righty. Any final words from anybody? Yes, well, this is the first time in a long time we've wrapped it up today because usually I'm demoing something and I'm just talking about it, just talking about whatever it is for all hours. All right. And
all the time.
comes out now. All right. Well, thanks everybody for all the. I think there was up to 15 people or so watching live. And of course, Our channel is youtube.com/SharePointRAX. We have a whole playlist of all these power hours that we've done. They're I think this is episode 81 or so, and they're all on a playlist. They're all just saved in there. You can go watch them anytime, and we appreciate you watching. Next week is last.
Governance.
Next week, Joelle is going to be doing Power Hour on governance. So, yeah, she's really good at that stuff. I'm looking forward to that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Over and out.